This is Legends with Bevo, thanks to Anytime Fitness Glenelg. And now, here's your host, Bevo.
Isabella Rositano. Now, you might remember her from SAS Hell Week. Muhammad Ali, the great, unfortunately no longer with us, boxer, and is a big influence of yours.
Just started boxing. I started it very recently. I only started boxing just before SAS, a month or two before SAS. So my first official fight was on SAS against a 6'3" guy. And that went pretty well. I got knocked down twice, but I got up again, and also never got to keep me down. And I also got a pretty cool combo shot, which was inspired by Tyson when he went in with the right hook. I went underneath and gave a few body shots, and that felt really good. I was keen to go first because I knew before going onto that show, if we were fighting, I would pick the biggest guy to fight.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you probably would have gained that respect from not only him, but the rest of the people on the show as well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, thank you.
But getting back to Muhammad Ali though, why Muhammad? Why do you sort of like him so much, and why was he such an idol for you?
And as soon as you mention his name, I just think, I'm so mean, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. I'm bad, man. I'm bad. I'm fast.
These could be in your rap songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the thing about combat sports is you don't have an ego and you really respect the sport, and to be a master of your sport, a technician of it. Muhammad Ali was a great technician, and on top of that, he had the beautiful speeches, the way he spoke, almost like a rapper. It's about like getting your lyrics out, getting your message out. Muhammad Ali had a message, and he always got that out. And the way he spoke was so eloquent, even though I've heard that, maybe he didn't write all his speeches, I'm not sure. But what he did say when he said it was always powerful. I think he was just as powerful with his words as he was with his boxing. And that's isn't that amazing?
So true. Like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That's
absolutely.
My favourite. So,
yeah. I think that's why. And I think he's probably, I think Tyson obviously got a bit from Ali. And I think all boxers look up to Ali. And I would look up to, for me, I'm looking up at Tyson, looking up at Ali, and wherever my future in boxing or fighting sports lies, those are the people I have huge inspiration from. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Izzy, this next segment is called Big Failures and What You've Learnt. You were very close to going to Tokyo 2020, and it's quite sad in terms of the situation there, and that was with canoeing, another sport. I don't know how you do it all, but explain the situation there and sort of how you felt when you found out that you sort of hadn't qualified, knowing that you were so close.
That was definitely, in terms of, regrets or anything like that, I think I always knew it was going to happen like that. I had a feeling that no matter how hard I tried or how good I was at the sport, that I wasn't someone who was, I don't know how to say this, who was looked upon favourably, perhaps. I have no family connections in the sport. I feel like the people who were looked upon favourably do. Now, I like to think that things change, and I like to think that maybe one day this sport in Australia will be different and people will all be given a fair go. But the stories I've heard even after leaving are perhaps even worse than what I went through. I gave canoeing my best shot to try and go to the Olympics. That's definitely something I'd love to do one day, but I realise it's not something that we can, it's not a good goal to have. If you were to ask me, in 2016, when I'd had a 1-year AIS scholarship to make Tokyo, what is your goal as an athlete? I would have looked at you, I would have smiled, and I would have said, I want to win a gold medal at the Olympics. That's what I would have said. I think that's completely out of any athlete's control. I used to think it was about being the best, working as hard as you can, and the person who worked the hardest got there. It's not like that. And I think that's the message I do want to share with all athletes is, it's such a matter of luck and other external influences. I think, for me now, my goal with whatever sport I'm doing is to be the best technician I can be and to have that satisfaction from knowing, for example, boxing, I came a long way, especially after doing a training camp. in New Zealand with some really great fighters and some really great coaches. And that feeling of enjoying the journey along the way was so important, because that's the bit that takes up the most time. You don't know when you're going to have your moment of success or how long it's going to be for. With canoeing, it unfortunately wasn't like that. And to be honest, it's taken me till 2022 now to speak up about a bit more freely about what that sport was actually like for me and my experience of it. And it wasn't positive. It wasn't really that great. So I have never really spoken out about that. But I think, especially after the passing of Harley Ballock, which breaks my heart, really, that hit me really hard. Just thinking about it now, I think it's important that we do kind of share all aspects of sport. And unfortunately, like, in terms of, it's quite hard to answer that question, but I think I knew deep down that I wasn't going to get an opportunity. But I'm so happy that I came back. I actually left the sport for a while in 2018. I thought, I'm done. It's not worth the negativity. It's not worth the pain just to try and make it to the Olympics. That's not worth it. But then I thought to myself, well, I'm 2 years away. I'm going to give it everything I've got. And no matter what happens, no matter what the outcome is, I know that I gave it 110%. And that's what I did. And I think I know that I gave it my best shot. And that's all you can do as an athlete. So I'm really happy about that. I guess I feel now like if I put that same effort and that same mindset into something like boxing, I think I'd be sitting here with a great number of more
success,
tangible achievements and more success. I think my biggest failure was not knowing when to quit. Yeah. And I think a great thing I read recently was like, don't quit, because, of X, Y, Z, but quit because it sucks. Like, quit when, you're not in the right environment, that you're not supported to achieve and all that. And that is something I'd say to athletes. And I'm very lucky that I managed to extend myself into different sports. I would love to commit everything to one sport. And I think after doing canoe, I kind of realized the reason I was having an issue with, kind of committing to it was simply because of the environment that I was in. It wasn't a happy environment. It wasn't a good environment. And it is what it is. I'm so grateful for it because it's made me who I am.
So does that make you more determined though to have another crack?
Absolutely.
And, So, but not canoeing, no, more boxing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I had again a thought in my head about 2017 when canoeing doesn't work out, I'm going to do boxing and I'm going to be really good.
So no more canoeing now after that?
Yeah, well, Ant told me, you should really give it another crack. Like, you are good at this, Yeah. And obviously I didn't really
unfinished business as well.
Yeah, unfinished business. Yeah, for real. I forced myself to go out on the water on the 1st of January, which was really emotional, but it was beautiful. I thought to myself, I still got it, because it's quite a difficult thing to stay straight and to steer, but it did come back to me a lot. It was quite a windy day, and I just couldn't believe, like, that feeling of being out and gliding on the water was really nice. And I am thinking about going and just getting back on the water for the Victorian State Championships in a week. So
awesome.
Yeah, just to be back on the water. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So it will be interesting to see where that goes. Yeah.
And in terms of the failures as well, because you touched on what you've been through in terms of Harley, we'll sort of speak about that in a moment. But in terms of the actual show itself, I was just amazed, and I'm sure the whole of Australia, people that were watching the show, at just how tough it was, and you were just going through absolute hell and back, and the show was called Hell Week, of course. And some of the challenges were just unbelievable, and a lot of people, like even strong guys, weren't able to do, but you just kept pushing through. How did you push through those failures and just mentally push through when your body was saying no, when your head was saying no, but how you actually kept pushing through with those ridiculous challenges that a lot of people would have just quit and did quit earlier than you, talking like big, strong, muscly men as well.
Yeah, true. I was never going to quit. I think I was never going to quit. And it's funny because I can say that now, sitting in this comfortable chair in this studio, because before, when we were doing the interview for SAS, before we went on, I got big camera in there and they ask you all the questions, and the camera woman goes, would you quit? And I said to her, it's so easy for me right now to tell you while I'm sitting in this really comfortable chair, while I've had some water, while I've got water, while I've eaten, while I've slept, even though, ironically today, obviously, as you know, I've had about 3 hours sleep the last 2 nights. For me to tell you that I'm not going to quit when things are hard. That's easy to say when we're not in the situation. I've been reflecting, obviously, on that, but I did say I don't believe I would. I can't imagine quitting. I can't imagine quitting. If something is going to make me so destroyed that I'm going to quit, wow, like that must be an amazing experience, because that's going to be something next level to make me quit. That's what I said before going on the show. After doing it, I reflect on it and I think to myself, I don't know. The third night was the night when I remember thinking, if we have a bee sting tonight, I don't know how I'm going to do it. And I thought to myself of my family, especially my grandparents. I really wish I had more time with them. And they went through, obviously my family on up those generations were affected massively by World War I and World War II and other wars and other conflicts. And I thought, what have my ancestors gone through? You know, we're living in this life so far from conflict in Adelaide in Australia. Yeah. We're very lucky to have that. And I've thought about that most of my life. How lucky am I? You know, and
well said.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I just didn't want to quit. I don't quit. It wasn't an option going into there. It wasn't an option, and I never did quit. And reflecting on it, I don't know, like it's pretty insane when I see, because you don't see, like, obviously, especially because I'm scared of heights, especially doing the cat climb, I did not look down. I did not, which is a shame because it was a beautiful view. I love views. I love beautiful views, and I couldn't. I was like, just look down the road. And yeah, it's just, I think it wasn't an option. I thought of my family, and I just, it's proved to myself that I'm a resilient, even through the sports experience I had. I think that, you know, that showed me that I didn't quit, you know, and I just think it's something that I don't know. I feel like it's inherent and it was in me. I think it's from my ancestors. I do. I really do. They didn't quit. They managed to get their families out to safety, and I think it's from them. Yeah, absolutely, it has to be.
It's amazing, inspiring. Yeah, good on you.
Thanks.
This next segment is called "It's Okay Not to Be Okay." Now, you mentioned before about Harley Bailick, and sadly passed away recently. Was a Freo Dockers player, and you know, got delisted like a lot of young AFL players do, and it's also, I guess, like where to from here for them, and that's probably the challenge, I guess, in the end. That you probably know this more than anyone, though, but tell us about your relationship with Harley and why it sort of cut you so deep.
I think the thing about Harley, and it's pretty gutting to know that, you know, someone like him has gone, is the fact that his passing is so symbolic of so many sports people around the world, and maybe so many people who follow their dream around the world who at some point they're no longer chasing it, whether that's for a small amount of time or for a long amount of time. I think that's the reason that his passing hit so many people really hard, and that feeling was captured by another ex-AFL player called J-Mo Daniels, and I might read out some of his words later. So for me, in 2016, I was competing in canoe and in Perth, and one day I was going for a walk after the competition with my dad, and I saw this cool football oval, and I used to always travel with my Sharon. That was one thing I did as a hobby. At the moment, I'm into just heading down to a basketball court and throwing the ball at the backboard, really. But I used to be into taking my Sharon and having a bit of a handball and a bit of a kick. Saw this great football oval, and my dad was there, and I thought, why don't we go see what that is? And it looked pretty big. I thought, Dad, I think this is the Freo Dockers. He goes, no, it's just a small club. Anyway, it turns out it's the Freo Dockers, and they're having an open, I don't know what you call it, an open day. And they're kicking. And so we watched them, and Harley was there. And afterwards we got to meet them. When I met Harley, you know, he was such a happy, funny, nice person. And we've got a photo together, and I looked at that photo, especially again after hearing that he's no longer here, and I just saw two sports people, or two humans chasing their dreams at a really good point in their careers. Like, we both at that point in 2016, like that was his second year. I think he was before an injury, and for me that was actually the first year I made an Australian team. And just I looked at that photo, what it symbolized, and to think that, we both, we both went then into similar paths of losing that for a while. Like, I'm devastated that he was in a place that he couldn't keep going. Like, that's devastating. And I think there's so many like people who are in that situation in Australia and should have worn waterproof mascara. It's just really sad. Because again, like, you look at that photo and it's like he's so happy and healthy, and it's like, I think that's what it's like when you're at a time when you're following your passion and you know your goal and you're looking at it and you're going for it, and it's the best feeling in the world. You know what you're going to wake up and do. You're going to wake up and you're going to go to training for your goal. You're going to wake up, you're going to dedicate everything to your goal. And that's what he was doing, and that's what we were doing. And then no longer having that, you don't know what's going on in someone's life. I can't comment on why he's no longer here, but I can't help but think that as an athlete, it was something to do with not having that goal. And I think that's what JMO touched on as well. And that's why, I hope he is at peace now. But like, that's why this story is, this passing is pretty
confronting
for a lot of people. I'd say a lot of people, like the amount of, especially like AFL, they're earning money from it, like they know they can make a living from it. And
like you said, doing what they love as well.
Yeah.
Getting paid to pay ridiculous money to chase their dream and doing what they love. And next thing you know, it's taken away. And and like I said, it's brutal, and it's such a sad, and so young as well to pass. So
absolutely. Yeah. So condolences to, obviously his family and everybody.
Yeah, well said. Yeah. Just our final segment tonight, Izzy. This one is called Now I'm in the Big Time.
Now I'm in the big time.
Ant Middleton's always been a big idol of yours. As a kid, you used to watch the SAS shows before it was a reality TV show, and you've always looked up to him, and you saw this big mountain of a bloke right up in your face yelling at you and swearing at you, and we'd all be watching on TV thinking, oh my goodness, this guy's pretty intimidating. You actually you loved it and said he's a big teddy bear. Like, tell us about this.
Remember before how I said some people have different sides to them? Definitely, my apologies to staff if you hear this. Please don't yell at me again. No, I'm just kidding. So I used to watch SAS as a teenager on YouTube. So this is back when it was like the original UK series. And it was just tremendous to me, and it was like such a documentary, like, of seeing these guys absolutely destroyed. Like they had one series in a jungle, and these are all British men, so they all like melting. They had one series like in the snow, and it was never available for women until 2018, I think. And when it was first available for women, I actually tried to apply. Even though I'm in Australia, you had to have a UK citizenship, but I actually applied anyway because I thought, who knows? I'm like, I might get a shot, but that's how much I wanted to do SAS.
Wow.
Then in 2019, I think it was, or 2020, all of a sudden it was in Australia, and that blew my mind. It was only for celebrities, but I was like, whoa, like, what's it doing here? And I wish I'd watched it because it would have given me more of an insight into how it's run in Australia, which is a bit different to the UK. But anyway, long story short, 2021, I ended up having this opportunity to go on the show that I loved as a teenager. And I'm not sure, was there a reality show you ever watched growing up that you thought you want to do, or?
Yeah, well, I applied Big Brother a couple of times.
Did you? Oh, you would be great on Big Brother. I can tell you.
So many people have said that.
I want to see you on Big Brother. I think it's Channel 7. Is that on Channel 7? It is on Channel 7.
Yeah. But it's all changed now. It's a bit like Survivor now because it's become such a tactical show.
It has.
Which I'd be hopeless at. I'd get eliminated straight away. So.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Nah, I think, no, you'd be great on Big Brother. But yeah, if you imagine, like, I was such a fan of the show. That's how I would describe it. Like, that was probably the show for me that I was always like, I would love to give that a shot. I would love to give it a shot. I just thought it looked like the hardest thing imaginable. I did not ever imagine that I would have that opportunity. Even now, especially like after it aired and all that, I've just been sitting back and thinking, like, when I look at the photos of me and Anne, me with Billy, Foxy or Ollie, I'm like, I actually did that. I actually had that opportunity to go on this show and that blows my mind. And like when I used to watch the show, this is an interesting thing. This is a thing I think Ant would be happy with me sharing, is like when I watched the shows, I used to think Ant was arrogant. I used to think I used to think to myself, he's arrogant. When I watch the shows, he's so not arrogant. Like really, he's not. So that really surprised me. It was very intimidating having a guy this close to my face. He would come this close.
Big unit too.
Big unit. Like, yeah, definitely could bench more than me, which, you know, not every guy can. I'll just throw that out there. But he's right by my face, and, you know, I don't usually have guys this close to my face. Like, you know, not very
unless you're in a nightclub or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't generally invite men into this area, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is quite personal, let alone get anyone. This is my... But he knew that, obviously, and to be more intimidating, he'd come right up here on multiple occasions and just, like, be yelling at you, or, like, be, you know, recruit 11, yes, stuff. Like, you know, like, he'd be right in my face. And I reckon the reason for that was in the pre-interview, they'd said, what are you most scared of? And I said, well, I'm scared that when the situations are, you know, really difficult, I love to bring a sense of humour to them to lighten the mood and to get the team together. You know, that's how I did things in sport. That's how I am as a person, I guess. So I thought, I'm a bit nervous that maybe I might laugh and it might get everyone into trouble, which I probably shouldn't have given the producers that idea. That was on me. I forgot it was reality TV and not a documentary. But anyway, I think, like, Ant was, I think maybe I was lucky because I'm such a fan of the original show. I'd visualised many times and I'd kind of knew what he was going to be like on the show. So, yeah, it was a very funny experience to be the person I'd watched so many times, you know, to be one of the people that I'd seen on YouTube on my laptop just watching, and when he was there, I was just really focused. I say that whole time for the whole hell week, I was just in a zone. I was robotic. He told me on day 4, you're being too much of a robot. Like I changed completely. I didn't know I had that in me, but I do. Just to be completely, like, you probably can't imagine it because we've been laughing this whole time.
Yeah.
But I've got this side of me where I just go complete blank, complete emotionless, like just get the job done. And that's what I was showing them.
If someone was in my face that close, I'd just be laughing my head off.
Oh, like, yeah. So when he did that, like, he started doing that to me, I reckon, like, day 1 or day 2. There was one moment that was quite funny where I was actually nervous, was he came real close to me. Again, he was like here, and he just did this with my shirt. So he comes right up to me and he's like, and I'm like, what the fuck? In my head, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what he's doing? And I asked one of the other recruits in transport to the location on the next one. I'm like, did you see what Ant was doing? Because he came up to, like, because I didn't look at what he was doing. I didn't avert my gaze. I'm looking straight forward like I did. I was soldier mode. And he's come right up on this direction and done something with my shirt. I'm like, what? And Sandy, one of the recruits, goes, he was just checking to see if you have your wet kit or your dry kit on, because you have to get back into your wet kit. So that's what he was doing. But that was just like, that's definitely 100%. Like in all the interviews, you can hear them talk about they're trying to make you as uncomfortable as possible. So I think he knew that for me, definitely it was intimidating having a guy like that big right up in your space. But the worst thing is, I think because of who I am as a person and obviously the culture and all that, like, I love hugging people and I just like, there was so many occasions I would love to have given him a big hug, and obviously I got a huge hug at the end from him, and that's I still can't believe I got to have that opportunity and hug him, and that hug from him meant a lot to me because I felt like he really understood who I was, that that's I never amazing. Gave up, and that he had a bit of respect, and that was great. Yeah.
Earning respect from someone like that is pretty damn good. So
the stuff they said to me gave me so much confidence. As you said, like afterwards they all said, you're so tough, like, you know, and the feedback I got from them was really nice, and that's made me feel like, wow, to have respect from these guys is mind-blowing to me, and that's given me a lot of confidence to go back to those things that I'd given up on and to give them another shot.
Yeah, I love it. Izzy, this segment is called Weird But True.
I had my hair in cornrows and I was in Townsville. I was working on a mango farm. That's been pretty fun. And this old couple who were, sorry, I shouldn't call them old, but older couple who gave me a lift. And I was talking to the man who was driving, and he was ex-army. And, we're talking about, I said, I did a mock SAS selection course. And he's like, did that happen to be on TV? I'm like, well, actually it did. Yeah, I had the cornrows. I was Recruit 11 on the civilian series. And then Bindi up the back just pipes in. She comes to the front. She goes, you were the little chick. And then he goes, you were the little chick. And they're like, we were screaming at you. Like, we loved you. Like, you were the shortest one left. You were the smallest one left. And you just kept going. You had so much grit. And it was so nice. Like, it blew my mind that I was up north in the middle of Townsville, and this couple who were from a farm, like, again, in that vicinity, watched me, actually saw me on the show, saw who I was, despite some editing changes, saw who I was, thought I was determined, thought I was gritty, and we're like, damn, we love your determination, we love your teamwork, we love your integrity, and, you've just gone out there and given it your best shot. And they wanted to see me get to the end.
That's amazing.
Absolutely was, and it blew my mind. I was so humbled. That was like the most humbling thing of SAS. That was the most, when that happened, I thought, no way. Because these aren't my friends or my family, even though obviously now they're my friends, but like they had no bias towards me, but they just saw this girl, this little chick on the show.
And your determination.
And they saw that. And that's this video clip right here. I'm in the car with Sandy and Jeff.
Woohoo! Celebrity!
Can you just tell me, please, what you said before, Sandy, about watching SAS Australia?
We were watching SAS Australia, and we used to cheer on, what Jeff called her, the little chick.
The little chick.
Go little chick, go little chick.
She's awesome.
We could never remember your number.
Number 11. So
Brilliant.
thank you so much. I was having these
Big
people. Jeff.
That's amazing.
Jeff and Sandy from Townsville, or from the near vicinity of Townsville, thank you for your kind words, and thank you for your support, and thank you for everyone who supported me on the show. Like, I've been blown away by the messages I've got, and that's pretty much been the overall message is you're so tough, and that's to have that feedback and that, from people around Australia has been, really, and even a lot of my overseas friends who I shared the links with have said that, and I'm
so
really
cool.
grateful for that. Yeah, I'm really grateful.
Well, Izzy Rositano, we could speak all day, but thanks so much for coming on Legends of Bevo for a chat. Well done to everything you've done so far, obviously with this SAS and all the other things you've just blown me away. I don't know, what to say, because you've just done so much, and there's so much to look forward to because you're still so young, and wish you all the best in the future. And we look forward to keeping in touch.
Oh, that's very kind. Well, thanks, Bevo. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to hear you rap. Yeah.